Hey, did you know that when your baby opens their mouth wide at the slightest touch of their lip, it's not always a cry for food. It's often just a hardwired reflex, tricking you into thinking they're starving. I've seen countless parents jump to grab a bottle over this. And I get it, because I've been there too, second-guessing every little twitch. Here's the raw truth. Many of the cues we swear mean hunger, cold, or pain are just your baby's body doing what it's built to do, not what we assume it needs. Stick with me, because cracking this code can save you sleepless nights and endless worry. Now, let's dive a bit deeper. What if I told you that even those tightly clenched fists, yep, the ones that scream, "Feed me now," might mean nothing of the sort? It's a head-scratcher, right? I remember watching a new mom at a playgroup, her little one's hands balled up tight, and she was convinced her baby was famished every time. She'd feed and feed, but the crying didn't stop. It got me thinking, how many of us are misreading these signals, layering on stress when there's a simpler explanation? Let's unpack why these tiny gestures trip us up and how to spot what's really going on. First off, newborns clench their fists almost all the time until about 3 months old. It's not a hunger SOS. It's just their baseline, while those tiny finger muscles figure things out. Same with that wide open mouth when you brush their lip. That's the gape reflex, an instinct to latch for feeding, whether they're hungry or not. I've seen it myself, gently tapping my little one's lip during a quiet moment, and bam, mouth wide open, even right after a full feed. It's automatic, like a knee-jerk, not a demand. And here's where it gets trickier. Even pediatricians might nudge you to trigger this reflex to help with latching during breastfeeding or bottle time. So naturally, you link it to hunger. But here's the catch. Since it's a reflex, your baby's gonna react that way, full tummy or not. So how do you know when they're truly ready to eat? It's not about one sign. It's a combo deal. Early hunger looks like subtle stirring, a little head turning as they search for a food source, almost like they're sniffing it out. Miss that, and you'll see mid-stage cues, stretching, more wiggling, hands sneaking up to their mouth for a suck. Ignore those, and you're in late territory, crying, red-faced fussing, agitated squirming. I've been there, missing the early whispers until the wails hit. And let me tell you, catching it sooner changes everything. It's less stress for them, less panic for you. And let's not forget another reflex that fools us: stroking their cheek and watching them turn with an open mouth. The rooting reflex. Again, it's not a hunger flag. It's just their system prepping for a latch. I've spent hours with parents who swear by these as foolproof signs, only to realize we're all just guessing until we learn the bigger picture. Understanding this isn't just about avoiding overfeeding or underfeeding. It's about tuning into your baby's real rhythm, cutting through the guesswork that keeps us up at 3 a.m. All right, let's lay this out clear and wide, because knowing the why behind these mix-ups is your superpower as a parent. Babies come into this world with a set of reflexes, automatic responses they can't control, wired in to help them survive and grow. Think of them as tiny, built-in programs running on instinct, not intent. A gape reflex, for instance, isn't just a cute quirk. It's there to ensure they open wide enough to latch properly during feeding. Picture this. You're holding your newborn, skin to skin, and you graze their bottom lip. Instantly, that little mouth gapes like they're ready for a feast. It's mesmerizing, and your heart says they need milk. But logic needs to step in. Research shows this reflex kicks in from birth, hunger or no hunger, as a survival tool for feeding success. Studies from pediatric journals note that nearly all newborns exhibit this response consistently in the first weeks, regardless of satiety levels. Same goes for the rooting reflex. Stroke their cheek, and they turn, mouth open, searching. It's not a choice. It's nature's way of guiding them to a food source. I've watched this play out in real time at a local parenting workshop. Moms and dads testing it on their babies, marveling as every single one responded, even the ones who'd just eaten. Now let's talk fists. Clenched hands in a newborn aren't a distress signal. They're a developmental norm. Until about 3 to 4 months, their hands stay fisted most of the time because their fine motor control is still under construction. Think of it like a rough draft. Their brain and muscles are sketching out how to work together. By 3 months, you'll see those hands start to unfurl, ready to grab at toys or your hair. And here's a detail that'll stick with you. Touch their palm, and those fingers snap shut tight around yours. That's the palmar grasp reflex, strengthening their grip for the future. I've felt that tiny squeeze countless times, and it's pure magic. But it's not about need, it's about growth. Now, hunger cues are a whole different story, and missing them can spiral into chaos. Early signs are subtle but clear if you know where to look. Stirring in their sleep, little mouth movements, head tilting side to side. I recall a late night moment, my own little one just starting to fidget in the crib, lips pursing. I caught it early, fed them before the storm, and we both got a rare hour of peace. Mid-cues, ramp up, stretching like they're waking from a nap, hands to mouth, sucking on fingers. Late cues, that's the meltdown, crying, body jerking, face flushing as they squirm. I've seen a dad at a community center miss every early sign, waiting until his baby was screaming, and the guilt on his face broke my heart. He didn't know there was a progression, a map to follow. Beyond hunger, other reflexes mess with our heads too. Take feeding interruptions. Your baby's mid-sip, then pulls away, grunts, maybe even passes gas, or poops before latching back on. It looks like pain, right? I thought so too the first time I saw those tiny brows furrow. But it's usually the Gastro-Colic Reflex, a normal digestive kickstart. When milk hits their stomach, their colon contracts, pushing things along. Studies say this reflex is active in most newborns, often causing those little pauses. It's not discomfort. It's their system working as designed. But here's the red flag. If fussiness at feeding is constant, or you see milk loss, hard stools, or odd colors like red or gray after the first days, don't wait. Chat with a pediatrician. I've known parents who brushed off weird stool patterns, only to find a fixable issue later. Another cue we misread: a quivering bottom lip. You see it and think, they're freezing. So you crank the heat, pile on blankets. I've done it, panicking over a shaky lip during a chilly morning. But it's rarely about temperature. That quiver is their developing nervous system reacting to noise, movement, or a shift in position. It's their way of processing this big, startling world. If you're worried about cold, skip the guesswork. Slide 2 fingers under their clothes to check their chest or back. Warm and dry is the goal, not hot or sweaty. Cool hands or feet? Totally fine. Their circulation is still maturing. I felt those icy little toes and had to remind myself it's not a crisis. These reflexes and cues aren't just trivia. They're your guide to less stress, more connection. When you stop reacting to every twitch as an emergency, you start seeing your baby's real needs. And that's when the bond deepens. But wait, let's twist the lens a bit. What if I told you that even something as innocent as a quivering lip or a mid-feed grunt could sometimes hide a bigger story? It's rare, but it happens. And I've seen it shake even the calmest parents. Picture a mom I met at a support group. her newborn's lip trembling every time a loud noise hit. Doorbell, dog bark, you name it. She laughed it off as just a reflex, bundled him up thinking cold was the culprit. Weeks passed, and she noticed he'd startle harder, cry longer after each quiver. Turned out, after a doctor's visit, his nervous system was a bit more sensitive than most, needing extra soothing strategies. It wasn't cold, wasn't just reflex. It was a clue to how he processed the world. Or take feeding grunts. Most times, it's that Gastro-Colic Reflex, digestion doing its job. But I've heard of a case where a baby's constant pulling away and grunting during feeds wasn't just gas. It was an early sign of a mild reflux issue. A quick chat with a health pro, a tweak in feeding position, and the difference was night and day. Now, I'm not saying every quirk is a warning siren. Far from it. Most times, these are normal, beautiful signs of growth. But this is the kicker. Knowing the baseline, the typical reflex stuff, sharpens your gut when something's off. It's like learning the melody of your baby's song. You'll hear the off note faster. So with that quivering lip, watch the pattern. Is it just random, tied to sudden sounds or shifts? Probably reflex. But if it's paired with unusual distress or escalates, trust your instinct to dig deeper. Same with feeding hiccups. If the grunts and pullaways come with consistent spit up, weight struggles, or misery, don't chalk it up to normal without a second look. I've sat with parents who waited too long to ask, and the regret stings. On the flip side, I've seen others catch a small issue early because they knew what typical looked like. Those babies got help fast, and the relief was palpable. This isn't about fear. It's about power. When you've got the map of reflexes and cues, you're not just reacting. You're reading your baby like an open book, spotting when a page doesn't fit. That's the edge I want every parent to have because it turns overwhelm into confidence. Let's hit the heart of this, the moment where it all clicks into place with undeniable clarity. These reflexes aren't random. They're your baby's first language, and misreading them can cost you peace. But getting it right changes the game. Start with hunger, the big one we all stress over. It's not about a single clenched fist or open mouth. It's a story in stages. Early cues are whispers. Your baby stirs, maybe in their bassinet, eyes still half shut, but their head tilts, searching, lips twitching, like they're dreaming of milk. Catch it here, and feeding is calm, a quiet win. I've had those moments scooping up my little one just as they started to root, and it felt like we were in sync. Miss it? And mid-cues kick in, stretching like a tiny yogi, arms and legs getting busy, hands creeping to their mouth for a desperate suck. It's louder, more insistent. I've seen a friend miss this with her newborn, distracted by a phone call, and by the time she looked, her baby was frantic. Late cues are the scream, literal crying, body thrashing, face red as they fuss at the breast or squirm in your arms. It's heartbreaking, and I've been that parent, fumbling to soothe after waiting too long. Studies back this progression. Pediatric research, like from the American Academy of Pediatrics, maps out these stages as universal, seen in nearly all healthy newborns. Timing matters. Catching early cues can cut crying time by half, per some hospital surveys. Now, layer on the reflexes that confuse us. Gape reflex. Touch their lip, mouth opens. It's not hunger, it's instinct for latching. I've tested this post-feed, and still, that mouth pops wide. Proof it's not need-driven. Rooting reflex. Stroke their cheek, they turn, ready to eat. Again, not always hunger. Hospitals teach this trick to initiate feeding, full or not. Clenched fists, normal for 3 months, not a hunger cry. I've watched babies grip tight, just lying there, content, no food in sight. Palmar grasp, their hand clamps yours when touched. It's muscle prep, not a plea. Beyond hunger, feeding itself trips us up. That mid-feed pause, grunt, or poop? Gastro-Colic Reflex, per digestive studies, hits when milk triggers colon contractions. Normal in 80% of newborns. I've held a baby through this, feeling their tiny belly rumble, then relax as they latch back on. But if fussiness persists, or stools turn odd, red, gray, hard, don't guess. I've known a family whose baby's constant feeding distress was a dairy sensitivity, caught only after a doc visit. Then there's the quivering lip, not cold, but nervous system jitters to noise or motion. I've seen it during a sudden clap. Lip shakes, but their chest stays warm when checked. Speaking of cold, forget cool toes. Check their torso for true temp. A parenting forum I follow shared stats. Over 60% of new parents overheat babies fearing cold, risking discomfort. Reflexes like these are growth signs, not alarms. But here's the deepest truth. Misreading them builds walls between you and your baby. Every false hunger, feed, every extra blanket for a non-issue is a missed chance to hear their real need. I felt that disconnect, assuming a cry meant one thing when it was another, and the frustration burned. Flip that. Learn this language, and you're not just parenting. You're partnering with your baby. I've watched a struggling mom transform after grasping hunger stages. Feeds became smoother, nights quieter, her smile brighter. Data supports this. Parenting studies show understanding cues cuts maternal stress by 30%. This isn't just knowledge. It's your bridge to confidence, to nights where cries don't baffle you, to days where you feel like you've got this. Every reflex decoded, every true cue caught, is a step closer to knowing your baby deeper than anyone else ever could. Now, let's lighten the load with a moment that'll stick in your heart. Picture this. You're sitting there, bleary-eyed after a rough night, and you slip your finger into your baby's tiny palm. Instantly, those little fingers curl tight around yours, gripping like they'll never let go. It's the palmar grasp reflex, sure, building their strength for the day they'll snatch toys or tug at your shirt. But in that quiet second, it's more than science. It's a promise. I've felt that grip on tough days, when every cry felt like a puzzle I couldn't solve. And it was like my baby was saying, "We've got this, together." I remember one rainy afternoon, just me and my little one on the couch, their hand clamping mine while their eyes locked on me, almost daring me to pull away. I didn't. I couldn't. We just sat there, connected by that tiny, fierce hold. And all the worry about cues and reflexes melted for a bit. It's funny, isn't it? We stress over every signal, but sometimes it's these unspoken ones that shout the loudest. That grip isn't hunger, isn't cold, isn't pain. It's pure growth, their body prepping for bigger things. And if you watch close, you'll see it evolve. By 3 or 4 months, that constant fist starts to open. And one day, they'll reach out on purpose, grabbing a rattle, or your nose, with a giggle. I've cheered through those first clumsy grabs, each one a victory, proof of what that early reflex was building toward. It's a reminder to breathe through the hard stuff, misread cues, late-night doubts, because these small wonders are happening right under your nose. Hold on to that feeling, that squeeze, when the parenting fog gets thick. It's not just a reflex, it's a little anchor, grounding you both. Let it sink in. Your baby's already stronger than you think, and so are you. Every time you feel that grasp, let it whisper to you. You're learning each other, one tiny step at a time. And there's magic in the mess of it all. So, here's the bottom line. your baby's signals. Those mouth opens, clenched fists, quivering lips, feeding grunts aren't always what they seem. They're often reflexes, hardwired from day one, not cries for food or fixes. But when you learn the real language, the hunger stages from subtle stirs to full-on wails, the truth behind each twitch, you're not just guessing anymore. You're connecting. It's about seeing past the instinct to the need, saving you from overreacting and stress. Tune in to those early cues. Know the reflexes for what they are, and you'll feel that shift, that deeper bond. If you're hungry for more ways to understand your little one, stick around. Hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell, because your support keeps these chats coming. Fair warning, content like this can vanish quick, so don't miss out. And hey, I'm curious, which of these baby signals threw you for a loop the most? Drop your story in the comments. I'm all ears.